Well, that would seem to indicate that we were a democracy.
Yes, sir. All right. Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Tuesday, October 13th, 2015 meeting of the Tilton Planning Board. First on our agenda is Planning Board Case 15-21 subdivision. Proposal to subdivide one lot into two at 645 Laconia Road in the Resort Commercial District, U2/43.
Your proposed plan, there's two boxes not checked off, do we need those? Grades and contours and drainage?
Chairman, may I respond to that?
Sure.
I believe they are on there. I looked at that and then I looked at the, I mean, as far as proposed grades and contours, to me it seems, certainly the second page of the plan shows grades and contours. Maybe, I don't know,
So we'll check those off the bill. You will? Wow.
So I assume that Sharon signed this, it's on another form. It says Sharon signed before submitting, so. Do we have a copy?
I guess, yeah, I mean, it's certainly obvious and evident that she's involved in approval of this application. Getting her to sign one of these right now actually probably would be a good idea.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing that up. I'll take care of Yes,
Yes.
yeah, can you just sign this?
Well,
Just sign right there.
I kinda looked at you, but.
No, that's fine.
That's funny, I thought there was another council person in the chat.
Not this year.
Not this year.
I make a motion to accept as substantially complete planning board 15-21.
Is there a second?
Second.
Oh, all those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Oh,
much.
no, that was not easy.
That's just the application.
I went smooth tonight.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Didn't even get warm yet, take it easy.
That was great.
Yeah.
We gotta give you a couple
We
more
never
right
felt
here.
anything before.
No, we're just warming up.
That's great.
That was good.
Not gonna be like that.
That's funny.
I'm Jonathan Crowdis from TF Bernier, prepared the plans. So back in July, the first subdivision was approved, and the changes that have taken place is this lot line now goes like this, rather than to the lake. This boundary line agreement has taken place. There was some question as to, that was in dispute, I don't know if you recall at the time. So a boundary line agreement has been recorded, plan and documents, so that's all taken care of. There was a little misinterpretation of state rules when we went to do shoreland, and that's what necessitated the change of the lot line there, so the shoreline stays with this lot. But this lot 1 is going to have an exclusive access easement to the lake. So it's really only a change in area of that from the previous subdivision. Frontage is still the same, nothing has changed with that, the variance permitted those. This line hasn't changed, this line hasn't changed in bearing, it just stops and goes to there. So that's about it, there's not much else different. So the boundary line agreement, plan and documents are noted on this plan now. That's about it. If there's any questions, happy to. So I think the acreage before on lot 1 was 1.25 or something. It didn't change much. The overall lot size changed slightly because before the line was going straight down. Now it's come to an agreement about that. Still going to be driveway easement. On the previous subdivision plan, there was a sewer easement shown for common sewer easement at the pump station, but the location of that is in question at the moment, so we haven't nailed down the location of it to put it on here. That can be handled with a deed when it happens.
Same life.
Questions from the board?
Where will the driveway go to the lot 2? They're gonna share the same ingress and egress from lot
Right.
3, right?
Right. Lot 2, right as it, however it works, right in here it splits. There'll be a turnaround, or, driveway parking, and turnaround right in the middle. So it'll just go right in there somewhere.
So the
It's-
top house closer to Route 3 will remain unbuilt. And I'm just thinking of
yeah.
emergency vehicle access, if that's
Oh.
simply gonna come down there and then you're at the houses.
Right.
It'll kind of look like it does now.
Okay.
Have you ever been down there? Yeah, it looks just, it's gonna look the same.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, the existing driveway stays until right in there is where it has to change direction.
It's like the second hump.
Yeah. Have a better reference with the topography on there. Anyway, you drop down, that's gonna be taken out. Instead, it's going this way. I assume all the top is just left as it is.
As part of that service, the development to the right of that.
What's that?
Does that driveway service those condos next door?
No,
No.
it's private, yeah, we have like a boulder in front of it and a fence.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's
Just so
like gated
people
right
can-
now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I drove by it today, so I'm like, where I was going. speeding, so. We have that on the.
And you have underground electrical to both? Is that what I read in the cover?
Yes.
Is there an easement for that underground electric, in case it has to be serviced in the future?
Right, that'll probably run up with the sewer, new underground electric. I'm not sure, where is that, do you know where that runs? There's
It's not underground
there.
right now.
It's gonna run off the pole at the top of the hill by Route 3, somewhere around there.
So, yeah, probably the sewer
It's gonna run parallel to the sewer.
will come down and they'll be in the
It'll be
same
the same
trench,
trench.
right? So there'll have to be an easement for that. Yeah, the sewer connection is here, so it would come down. I think they'd probably split at some point.
For sewer and electric? They're gonna share a well?
Right.
So again, you're gonna have an easement for water lines for repair in the future?
Right, yep.
Which property is the well on?
It's actually gonna be, well, it's proposed to be over here.
Lot 2, yeah. Lot 2.
Is there a well there now?
No.
That's not on here?
No.
Electric water. So when you will write up easements for those,
Right, they'll have to be.
there'll have to be some language for maintenance, disturbing of the soils, et cetera.
Right.
Will the electrical be electric, or will you write it in such a way to allow other utilities such as MetroCast, or,
They're gonna-
That's,
MetroCast will be coming in.
so you'll write that one in such a way to allow other than just electrical to run through?
yeah, yeah.
So this cover letter is incorrect, there isn't an existing underground electric?
Oh, is that what it said?
Yeah.
Oh.
existing municipal sewer stuck to the property and underground electric. So that's
Yeah,
proposed
so-
underground, right?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna cross it out. You've already written the access easement to the lake
No,
for the one?
no.
Has been provided.
What's that?
Add down.
Says an access easement to Lake Winnisquam on proposed new lot 2 for the benefit of lot 1 has been provided.
Oh, it was, that meant on the plan, sorry.
You're showing it on the plan, but you
Right,
haven't
right,
written
right, it'll have to be
How's
written
it written
into.
into the deed?
It's going to be when it's deeded. Yeah. It'll have to be. Both lots will have it.
Or is it over lot 2? These are gonna be single-family dwelling units?
Yes.
Private homes?
Yep. We have no desire to sell them. We're building them one for us and one for our kids, but we're making them sellable. It's our hope that they never do end up selling them, but that's why we're trying to put everything together. They are to sell.
So,
I'll open it up to the public. Yes, we'll close it to the public. Gotta have it on the record, that we open it.
That's true.
Yep, a little rusty.
Makes for a quick evening.
Yes, for everybody. I have one more question. Do we have minimum lot sizes? Is this variance or waiving that?
no, it's 1 acre.
But the variance waived was the distance of road frontage each lot had to have. If they had the acreage for 2 dwelling units, a house on each lot, that could be acreage.
This is resort commercial.
And they have sewer.
Thank goodness.
No
Changes,
water.
it's a game changer.
Good enough? It's a nice use of the property.
Yeah, and it took us a while to decide what we wanted to do. Because we felt guilty sitting with that lot just there. Our kids decided it for us.
Imagine you have a few things you'd like to put into motion, so I'll feel free.
Oh.
She's got the list.
Well, I have
Got it right
that's
there.
some way, it just has to
I like
be
it.
easement. I never made this motion to approve? Is that what I'm doing, I'm approving it?
Well,
Proven subdivision.
second?
Approving.
What? She's gonna say.
Look at that, I got
Okay,
that.
I just, before you change your mind.
Motion to approve case PB 15-21 subdivision with, I have some conditions. Copies of the maintenance easement for sewer, electric, and other utilities and water. And a copy of the access easement to the lake from lot 2 to lot 1.
Is that good, the language, copies shall be provided to,
Oh, I let Dari do that stuff. He
Oh.
makes it fancy. But I just think before, we've had subdivisions in the past where we didn't require that, and then you end up with a lot that didn't get followed through. So it hangs there, because now whoever bought the first lot doesn't have the person who bought the second lot to have any easements over the property.
What our kids have already.
So those should be in place for final.
What about the driveway?
That's it, that's, I was thinking about that. The driveway cut's already there, but I think, yeah, I agree, yeah, what do you think? Driveway easement as well? You'd have to have an easement to drive over lot 1 to get to lot 2.
Right.
Did you not?
Yeah, you do. I don't know if, trying to think of how it's been done before, how I've seen it, whether that needs to be written up as a easement, or if the plan is, you know, when you sell a lot, you say subject to, as shown on the plan. But if all the others are being written up, I'm sure the driveway could be included, some language.
Because right now, it's the only way lot 2 is gonna have
Right.
access from Route 3. I don't think DOT would give a second driveway cut, especially with the hill.
Yeah.
We had one.
So, yeah.
Good idea to have it.
Good call.
Well, I'm just thinking of, I mean, you're saying you hope that they never sell it, but let's say they sell, you know, lot 1,
Right.
and all of a sudden they say, well, I don't want, I wanna make that all,
No, it's
I wanna make that my
nice. Yeah, it's
pitching,
fine with us,
my
yeah.
putting green. You
What
know?
can happen?
No, that's totally fine, makes perfect sense. We wanna make it as clean as possible for them, so when the time comes, if hopefully they don't, but it is sellable someday. I don't know if it is, but it was.
which motion's on the table? You know.
I'm done with mine, will let Eric's,
Just add the driveway.
just add the driveway.
Yes.
So we've got sewer, electric, and other utilities, water, access to the lake, and driveway.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'll let public-
Now we can take-
Now you can decide.
Now that you want to see something, I was.
Go forth and
I have a question.
Subdivide.
So do we, since there's 2 homes, will the address always be 645 Laconia Road? I could have asked you anything, but I wrote it here.
No, 911 will give them each an address, will they not, Dory?
That's correct, yeah.
Do we like name the road and then,
Well,
I wouldn't want them to like.
how long is it?
Put like a bad.
You can name your road. It's a private road.
It's a driveway
It's
at this
only
point,
200.
because of its length, it's a driveway.
Well, that's what I was wondering, and so do we choose a name for the road and then they give us numbers for each of the house? Or, because right now the address.
I
is
think
645.
911 will give you, because lot 2 has, property along Route 3 will give its own Laconia Road address.
So it would, right now it's 645 Laconia Road.
So it might be 645A.
Oh, I see. what you're
Or
saying. Gotcha.
643 probably,
Yeah.
yeah, something like that,
Depending
or.
on
Seven,
how
but
it's
maybe-
numbered.
It's, yeah, because they'll do it whatever way they feel is best going to get firemen to the
Right.
right place. I mean, whether they, yeah, I mean, we can work that out.
I was curious how that happens or where that.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm sure they prefer not to have another road name in there.
Right,
where it's just a driveway serving two homes, I think they would stick with Laconia Road.
665, right, 665.
But, well, who
Shalimar,
knows?
Econo Lodge is
650.
650. Our house that we own is 660, and then the waterfront is 645. So I don't know what everyone else is
What?
saying. That's something that we don't even deal with, that's something that we'll just get a letter someday saying.
Yeah, 911 will deal with that.
Well, actually, I mean, yeah,
It's comes
we
from
actually,
Gary's
I
office.
requested,
Oh,
so
okay.
at some point we'll, I'll probably look, like I try and make it so, look across the street, look on either side so that it makes sense. But then I'll also probably consult with the fire department to
Yeah.
see if it should be, you know, get its own private road name, or whether it should, I'm thinking probably just like Catherine said, a driveway off Laconia Road, and then both be Laconia Road, but.
I wonder because we have Contagiani Way and Evelyn Way right at Friends Home Resort.
Well, what's the address of it?
Phillips House is 667.
Yeah, so it'd be,
That's a lot of
it could
numbers in
be,
between.
There is.
it could be 649.
Sorry.
645,
I've only, I haven't been here for a while.
645, like that. I didn't know if we were supposed to choose a name for it before the
Choose it
town
for
gave
you.
a name for us, because we'd rather choose a name than it be written as the.
No, because it's a
Sponsors
driveway,
way.
we wouldn't entertain that. And in the past, people with private roads, they have privilege of naming them.
Spotless way.
We're gonna call it Old Shalimar Road.
Nice name.
We wanted to, if we could, well, we just didn't know if someone would give us a name like, you know, Street Road or A Street, but, you know, we're gonna all already got H Street. Do you really?
Old Shalimar now.
Well, you could have a name like my father named his, Tobacco Road.
We just didn't want to end up with like, you know, letter P road. So we better come up with a road before we actually call it.
Subdivide out that could be
So
in
we'll
there.
talk about that next.
Yeah, yeah,
If we could
right.
name it Old Shalimar Road, we'd like to.
Okay.
It would be nice if you could do that.
Okay, yeah, let's discuss it, and it, so that would be your preference to actually have it be,
If we could, it's
Yeah,
not a
yeah.
problem, if you prefer to do another way.
Okay.
We're easy.
all right.
Are we done?
Safety
Okay.
is obviously.
Yes.
Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Thanks for
No
coming in.
offense, but I don't think that we'll, maybe we.
You never know, never
Be
say
careful what you say.
Never say never.
We've never built any, this is new ground.
Okay.
We good, Jonathan?
Get hold of Tim.
Voicemail.
Are we doing something from Tim?
I'll
I
mention.
haven't been to the waterfront, there should be a circle with a W for a well there, I haven't been there. You haven't done, okay,
There
that's
you
you. Is that mine or is that yours?
That's mine, I'll take it. Thanks. These are yours.
Oh, that's what I thought I had. Thank you very much.
So-
Bye.
Good night.
Is this it, or is anyone else coming in, or do you have to wait until 7:30?
Apple and cheddar time.
Oh, no, it's apple and cheddar.
So this is it. So nothing else is on the docket then?
Well,
good
we
for you.
have,
We have-
we have some, planning, master plan stuff,
Okay.
yeah.
You might need some wine.
Were you hoping for some?
No, it's good for you. Thank you.
Thanks again.
Sure.
All right, thanks a lot.
It's on record.
You guys got more meetings?
Yeah, it's zoning ordinance, never ends.
We died, we listened to his earphones.
We'll have to
That's all right,
submit
thank
to
you.
you those, not blueprints, but whatever they call them now, right, for the subdivision?
Oh, the Mylar?
Yeah, Mylar.
Yeah, yeah, yep.
And before they're filed, they'll have to give us the easement language.
Well, I don't know.
Before they get a building permit, they'll have to give us
Oh,
language?
yeah, I would think so. I mean, I don't know that there's some rule, well, I mean, based on what you just said, let's see, these would be considered conditions precedent in a way, unless,
Well, the only other thing was to say no.
well, yeah, I mean.
Do that and then come back.
I guess the only question that I don't know, one thing I don't know the answer to is, can you write up a deed for a subdivided property prior to recording the subdivision? And if not, then there's really no way he can, it's kind of an odd,
You can't.
we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
It's almost like these are conditions precedent that can't be met.
Yeah.
Precedent. So,
I know what you're saying.
yeah,
They're nice people, they will come through.
right, it'll work
Not
out,
everybody
but,
always is.
No,
Well,
yeah,
I mean-
not everybody is, so we should figure this out for the future.
yeah,
I mean, we just kinda lucked out with them.
yeah.
The driveway easement is on the deed. That's how the deed's on.
It said it was,
Well-
but evidently it.
No,
needs
that's
to
for the
be.
new deed, it will
Yeah,
have
for
to
the
be
new
on.
deed, well, the
Yeah.
new deed's gonna have to reflect these.
But, but if they can't create the deed until the subdivision's been recorded, then there's really no way to satisfy these conditions prior
I
to
think it's-
recording the subdivisions.
I think it happens at the same time, almost simultaneously.
It could.
He could create the
It's
deeds,
right on the deed
not
at the
record
front.
them.
Right.
Well,
There's
And
nothing
record them
prior.
all at the
True.
same time, walk
True.
in with the Mylars, walk in with the deeds and record them, that's what he could do.
That's
I know at the sports center, we have an easement to the pond for fire suppression. And when they subdivided that, it all became part of it.
They do it all at the same time,
We have the easement.
but it should be
for
complete,
access
I
to the
was
driveway.
kind of disturbed
It's
that
on your deed.
it came
It's not like
in
separate.
without them,
But, yeah.
when his letter said it did.
Which doing okay.
Good proofreading on his letters.
That's something we should
Yeah, it's
record.
pretty great to do it.
That's what it is.
Just that- I didn't run my retainer holder, so I can't eat now.
I'm gonna cut.
Thanks, Judy.
That's,
You can tell she's had kids before.
Oh, yeah.
All day long, she just take a
All
gun,
day.
whatever.
The coffee cup over there. Put some water in it. Maybe that's-
Team player.
Alright.
I'm sorry.
Everybody's, yeah, better.
Is it me or does
Hello?
the name Shalimar remind anybody else of
One of the chickens?
Laverne and Shirley and Swiggy's cologne? So they say, what is it? And they'd say, what is that smell? And they'd be like, Shalimar.
oh my God.
Oh my
Oh my
goodness.
God. Well, I just time warped.
Nobody else ever learned that?
I just time warped.
I don't even remember. I think of that
I
like
used to watch
every
it all the
single
time.
So did,
time.
Laverne was who?
Shouldn't have done that. He's got to do it again.
Shirley Espress.
There you go.
No, it was, deer.
No,
What do they do?
Oh.
Every time
They worked at the deer place.
I lost my
Don't wait for me.
mindset there.
That's, my kids are on, sometime.
We lost Liam for 25 minutes.
Oh, one of your kids? Oh.
Grandkids. These were
Oh,
called.
my goodness.
Really?
Yeah.
I heard Meredith's legal to shoot.
My friend, he was at
Yeah.
home, we got off the bus, they're off the place.
Don't wait for me.
Did you answer?
Milling around. I just-
Hmm?
Do we have pre-K?
Oh, yeah. You
They
don't-
keep
you
trying
don't-
to pass that law, I don't think they succeeded.
Just, I'll take a few. Thank you.
Okay.
All
So
right.
it's just kindergarten or daycare?
Milling around.
We'll just take a little mental break. I know Dari's recording and stuff like that. All right, so I guess we'll move on to the planning board workshop, the zoning board, the zoning ordinance review. First up, there should be a handout that you got, wetlands handout.
On the wetlands one?
Yes, wetlands first.
So,
'Cause it's-
So, yeah,
I'm gonna let Dari explain this a little bit more.
thank you. So this is from DES's Innovative Land Use Techniques Handbook. I believe you guys, I've handed this out once before. You may recall, we were, working on the wetlands ordinance, discovering that it was, we needed to get the law, the whole timber thing, you may recall, we talked about it a lot during. So here is, and we discovered that the conditional use permit provisions in the zoning ordinance, and there was a table, they were all contradictory and sent you in odd directions. So determined we wanted to clean that up. My proposal is that we look at this wetlands conservation overlay district model ordinance and consider replacing what we have with this. You'll see on the second page, I hand wrote something that buffers 20 feet wide around all other wetlands and surface waters. When you study this, you'll see that essentially this model provides no buffer around small wetlands. And I imagined that that you guys as a town would not necessarily like that, so I put that language in there as a possibility. If you go on to what is page 208, maybe the fifth page in here, you'll see I crossed out letter D, and that's been recognized. It was the plan link, which is kind of like a blog or email listserv for planners. There was a lot of discussion, and a gentleman from DES pointed out that he was going to remove this paragraph from this. He, however, has moved on to another position, and I wasn't able to get any answer from someone regarding what they finally decided to do with it. I haven't seen it removed in any of on their website, but I believe that would need to go in order to keep us out of trouble with the whole logging issue, where courts have determined that planning boards don't have authority to regulate timber harvesting. So my proposal is that that we largely replace the wetlands section of the zoning ordinance with this. So so that's my proposal, but in order to get you guys to make a decision whether you agree with my proposal, my thought would be that you compare this with the with our zoning ordinance, look to see where there are differences, where some protections may be provided in one that aren't provided in the other, and then we can discuss. If you see inconsistencies, if you see things that exist in ours that you'd like to see brought over to this, I think that would make for a good discussion at a next meeting. I guess that's
Jerry, what's the date of the next meeting, the 27th?
27th, yeah.
Thank you. Provide for nutrient attenuation and augmentation of stream flow during dry periods.
You like it?
Yeah, I happen to know what it means, but I didn't know what it meant a month ago.
Where are you
I'm
reading?
just
Oh.
amazed that it's in there.
Yeah.
Because there's other times besides dry flow that you'd be concerned about, especially nutrient attenuation. That's what we're dealing with Casella and Belmont.
What's that now?
I said there's other times to be worried about nutrient attenuation other than during the dry period, because that's what we're dealing with Casella and their garbage.
Oh, right,
Causes
right.
the same problem. I just wanted to just.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they're kind of,
But yeah.
somewhat separate, yeah.
So, have you looked at this and compared ours to it
Yeah.
and how it would fit? It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Permitted uses.
I feel this one,
Prohibited uses, that's what we
I
don't
mean,
have.
like an example of something, a protection that's provided in the Tilton ordinance is something about minimum of 125 feet from a wetland to any septic system, tank or leach field. And so that's not in here. And I looked at that and I said, okay, should I put a note in to bring that over? And I said, well, you've got a buffer of 100 feet around there. You've got the requirement that septic systems be approved by DES, obviously. So I felt like, maybe going down from 125 to 100, but with the knowledge that you're not completely abandoning any review at that point. I felt okay with not bringing that in, but that's an example of a difference. I feel like this ordinance is easier to work with. I feel like the process, it's clear what you need a conditional use permit for, and it's clear what you need to do to obtain the conditional use permit. And that's in my mind, a big improvement from the other one.
Yeah, I like that. I actually asked some surveyors I know about that one that you were just talking about. And they said that 125 feet, they feel is, they work in, they do septic design and stuff, is too large. And that the state is either 50 or 75 feet. I don't see any reason why it's so big, and who knows why it got put into, you know, as 125 feet, who knows, but, so that's consistent with that one, because I've read them a whole bunch of these just to see. That was one that like stood out as something that she changed.
In this new proposal, the Conservation Commission is doing the application process, where in ours, the planning board was.
Okay.
So, I mean,
That's- yeah.
fine, it gives them more work to do. But,
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good point. I guess
prior to making a decision, the Conservation Commission shall afford the planning board an opportunity to provide comment.
yeah, but I really, I didn't catch that. I would, my first thought is that's,
Typically, they're not a decision-making board.
exactly, it's not, yeah, I guess I'd rather, that's a change I would maybe make to say, switch it, to say the planning board issues it, and the Conservation Commission, is the one that comments, kind of, which is how we have it now. Good point.
Well, usually we have a little more clout.
This is something for election.
Correct.
This
Yeah.
is something we're getting ready for.
Yep.
What does anybody else think about application by us with conservation council?
Well, wouldn't you want anything that was to do with wetlands to go through conservation regardless?
Well, we would just, what Darius suggesting, we'd have the application process go through the planning board, but we would afford them the opportunity to comment, and we would consider.
Don't we do that now, basically?
Yeah.
Right, that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
But this is written the opposite. Yeah, so prior to making a decision, the Conservation Commission, so this would say, the planning board shall afford the Conservation Commission an opportunity to provide comment and shall consider any such comments provided.
Where is that exact
Page 210.
section you're reading right now?
Page 210, letter D, 6D.
And page 209B references it also.
Yeah.
Good catch.
We have more authority to make things difficult for people.
Right.
Well, you do, you always put conditions on people, and you go, okay, so what's the consequence if they don't comply? Approve it. Well, that's gonna be some interesting homework, because ours is much longer, much more convoluted.
Yeah, so we can
That's
look
one.
this
So,
over and.
what are you proposing that this, replaces? Just the, so does it start on 55?
Yeah.
I mean, really that whole section.
Article 14 or Article 15, Tilton Groundwater Protection Ordinance?
Article 14,
Just 14?
the Wetland Conservation District.
That's 14.
In my copy, it's 55.
Why?
Yeah, it's
I am
55
on that
to,
side, and it's not on here.
it ends on the top of 61.
It ends at 65. Starts at 55
I got it.
Starts at 50.
and ends at 61. Top of 61.
Mhm.
Thanks.
So again, I think it's gonna be important that, everyone go through and sees if there are things that are in the zoning one that you don't see here that need to be brought over.
This one is groundwater protection, it's okay. Is that the groundwater protection district behind me right there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
It says groundwater
I couldn't make my neck turn quite around that way.
solar zone. All right, so we'll just look through this and
That's homework.
come back.
Homework.
to it. Okay.
Homework.
Study hall tomorrow. All right, number 2 on here is chicken and bees. Or this is really says farm animals, farm animals and bees.
Chicken, ducks, rabbits. Is rooster on here?
I think roosters aren't allowed.
No, roosters, geese, or turkeys may be kept.
The noisy bunch.
Well, ducks can be noisy.
I have a rooster chain, he comes to my back door. He crows on it.
So, what section is this one?
My neighbor has a couple roosters in her living room for months.
Ew.
That's gross.
Yes,
I know, I babysat for the kids.
Yeah.
And just like pecking away at the curtains
Oh.
and, it was bizarre.
That's Elaine, she's not watching the house anymore.
Yeah.
Where is that in the zone?
It's not.
Oh,
It's something that, we get a lot of calls on. It's obviously, local agriculture is something that's becoming more and more important. Yeah, we've, a lot of special exceptions are coming before the zoning board for chickens, horses. And, I think, it makes sense to create a little bit more opportunity, but also to create a more thorough, system of oversight.
Well,
Don't you think similar farm animals is kind of subjective?
It's defined.
Yeah.
It's defined, which is.
do we have any zones they're not allowed to have currently?
Those pig, sheep, and similar animals, where is it defined?
It's, and it took me a second to relocate it, but it is,
Oh, I found it.
yeah,
So, is
Um,
can't eat your own chickens. No slaughtering.
this
Wow.
Page you on, wow.
It's in the middle.
Inside the garage.
It says following definitions at the top left.
Okay.
Any farm animal is similar to other animals listed in a particular category of permitted animals with respect to impacts on nearby properties, including noise, odors, safety, hazards, or other nuisances.
So you could put a
Domestic.
cow.
Well, I could argue
Why
that
would a
my
cow?
Shetland
Well,
pony
next door.
is similar. It's quiet and small.
But
The-
faster, it might-
The odor from the poop,
Think of
the odor from the poop.
horse shit. Like, what are you talking?
Yeah, that's right, that's it.
Oh, good. It's like hay, right? Ms. Tilton asked, if it's permitted or not, throughout town. Non-commercial raising or keeping of livestock would be permitted by special exception everywhere in town except for downtown and village residential where it is not permitted and therefore would require a variance.
Thank you.
Where's that written?
Charter permitted use, I'm just going on, so.
It's on our charter permitted.
Oh, you're right on that?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's contradicted further on.
So, do we have,
So wait, so village residential, what's the other one?
Downtown.
Downtown.
So if I-
trying to get out of here.
No, I'm reading, I'm looking at the map.
Oh.
So this would be a new article, the zoning regs.
Mhm.
How did bees get thrown in those poor things? What did they do?
Stop it. Honey of a mess there.
So do we get a lot of nuisance calls for the chickens?
No.
Only down.
Yeah, no.
Oh, okay. I'm just wondering because we have some neighbors, chickens that are all over the place.
I think maybe one or two I've received, people, but not complaints, just asking.
Oh. Can I see that?
Can my neighbors have those chickens, you know?
Are they currently permitted in certain parts of town now?
Well, by special exception, so I guess really,
So
if
they
you
don't
have,
have 6 animals or less.
but it,
No, they have more than 6.
Well, this says, oh, well, they might have more than 40 square feet. So standard lot is 4,800 square feet, and allowed 6 or less.
Oh.
yeah, I wonder if, the right way to do this is to make it apply like this one does to residential districts and maybe the rural agricultural district.
I was gonna say in the.
But the rural agricultural district is,
Designed.
that's something completely different unto itself.
You know, like, that this isn't, are you saying that you have tons of land out in the rural, the typical rural agricultural site has more than enough land and all the bits and pieces of this aren't really necessary?
Well, it's like, parcel that is at least 24,000 square feet in area, a maximum of 2 such animals may be kept on the property, with 1 additional animal permitted for each 2,400 square feet of area. So you're gonna limit an agricultural piece that's designed to hold animals to that standard. This is really designed for a residential piece of property to limit the numbers,
Right, I
so that somebody doesn't have, 20 or 30 chickens.
Right.
Because even without a rooster, 20 or 30 chickens are pretty darn noisy.
And you would know that.
But on my property, I'd have plenty of room to have a couple of chicken houses with
Right.
thousands in each
Right,
one,
right.
and have them set back behind them.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
So
I
it's
mean,
it's a different kind of farming we're talking about.
Right, this is right, this is allowing that those residential, small scale,
A couple of
someone
chickens
who-
for your own use.
Exactly.
Milk goat.
Hang a shingle on it,
So is
you
this
have goat milk and eggs.
To be able to, for downtown and village residential?
That's for you guys to decide.
I mean, village residential, you don't want too much.
You know,
Livestock wandering
The,
around.
the one I just read, 24,000 square feet, which certainly restricts some of those properties.
I mean, my lot's only 10,000.
If, what is it, 24,000?
24,000 square
So,
feet.
so you need to have over a half an acre just to have 1 chicken, so 24,000 just to have 1?
Who is going
I
to?
mean-
In residential districts,
I know,
there are
that's-
goats, pigs,
Uh,
sheep, this is goats, pigs, or sheep, this is beyond chickens.
I'm making
For
this-
chickens, you're gonna have at least 10 square feet of area for each bird.
Well, here's in the,
That's in your enclosure.
if you go to page 1, it says, no more than one such animal shall be kept on a parcel of land for each 800 square feet of parcel lot or area. For a standard residential lot of 4,800 square feet, this regulation will permit no more than a total of 6 such animals.
So that's like say a tenth, or between an eighth and a tenth of an acre. You have 6 chickens, like, do you guys want that? Is that what the town of Tilton wants? I can see the pros and I can see the cons. The pros is that you say, you know what, even the smallest, urban parcel, is capable of providing, growing some, some food, some tomatoes, and harvesting some eggs, and you want to encourage even at the smallest, even in your downtowns, people looking for ways to grow their own food. So that's why you'd want it. Obviously, the negative is you don't want chickens.
I think we'd have to look at this and then look at the zoning areas, especially village, and see what would happen. If you take the tax map and you look at each lot and say, okay, if this person decided they wanted to have chickens, and this person decided they wanted to have chickens, how many chickens would you have on High Street?
That's funny. Yeah, that's
You know what I mean?
yeah, it's like a
Because
real
if
funny
everybody on High
example.
Street decided they wanted to have chickens,
I know that could happen.
that's a lot of manure. That's a lot of
that
noise.
stinks.
So everybody on Chestnut Street, Prospect Street, was like, you know. Do you know what I mean? That's how you have to look at it. What's the possibility? Everybody in the village district decides they're gonna have chickens.
But
Don't want that.
How would
But-
that, what would that look like? What would it smell like?
but
It's right out in the middle of the street.
that technique, the build out analysis they called it, where you look at, okay, if we did this, if we made this change of the zoning where it's almost like it's almost like a worst case scenario that's unrealistic, because
Except for experience that with Exit 20. There was no build-out scenario.
We're not gonna have chickens in every property.
Let me tell you, Concord Heights, they're taking the doors off the cupboards in the apartments.
Oh, wow.
People coming in and they're roosting in the kitchen.
No.
Oh, yeah.
All you have to do
Yeah,
is
that's-
get,
That's why KFC does
You
it.
can't limit that anyway, if they wanna have chickens in their house. That's their pet.
depends on what culture decides to move into an area.
That's a
Well,
long story.
And that's not a bad thing, I'm just saying, it's one way of looking at it. Just
well,
worst case scenario is not a bad thing to have in the back of your mind.
Well, I sure as heck wouldn't want a rooster in my neighborhood, I can tell you that.
But I do think that people should be allowed to have, who wants to keep a couple chickens in a little coop that's required them to be fenced in, raise their own eggs.
Can you prevent the chickens from being like free range, so they're like right next to the road, so you're driving down the road and see a chicken and you panic, and can you limit it that far?
I think this requires that they
Yeah.
remain in their enclosure, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
yeah, that's on the second
No
page.
free range at all?
You know? Well, but, I know like the town of Meredith, where I live, has a leash law that, is,
No animals shall be kept
Not
in required front
obviously
yard or
adhered
side
to
street yard
also.
area, so how you gonna prevent the chicken from going in the front? You
I think it's the same as a leash
Do
law.
not
It's
cross
like
the road.
if someone
Leash on the chicken.
habitually demonstrates that they, on a regular basis, can't control their dog or can't control their chicken, then at some point, they get ticketed, they get fined, and eventually they lose their chickens.
Oh, no.
That's how I would envision
Bill
it
Sanders
playing out.
Things out front of the yard.
Right.
Well, sorry.
My mother doesn't have boyfriends.
Chickens
Oh, really?
and other birds have access.
She's one of the backdoor
in
chickens.
house.
I like having chickens roaming around everywhere.
I don't.
Well, I
Depends
mean,
where you
not,
are.
not in a congested area, but
Well, this is, I mean, this is,
seeing them around.
Thank you.
No, I wouldn't. 'cause
Well,
maybe
yeah, in the
you know,
country, you
my
know.
yard or
So then we
like
would
that.
have to, where the prohibitions, I would have to specify what designated areas for horses, cows, alpacas, llamas, and other such similar.
I mean, we have turkeys all over the place.
For what, where?
I get a lot of those.
Well, this is very significant.
I go
On the
there.
second page in the prohibitions, so we would have
I mean,
to
right there.
specifically designate areas that could have, or just
A lot of wild
chop that out.
turkeys.
Yes.
So
It was kind of fun when I baby with the one.
Like going around
It was like two big
The chicken checker.
all these little babies.
Who's gonna be
Somebody
enforcing
come
this?
say,
Side.
Well, yeah, my sister
Yeah,
has
that's
one.
checked away, so
Yeah,
we
it's
may
Be
great.
the chicken
We
checker.
have
I'll
a
be
lot
the
of
chicken
land,
checker.
so.
I'll be the
we have
chicken checker.
chickens,
Just to see
I
this.
play with the farm,
Hey, I'm gonna check
make
you for
deals
group,
all
I
the
did that
time.
today.
So,
let's-
say
we
over
got,
there,
we
I
have
do
like
this,
three
and
conversations
you do
going.
this.
Hey, guys, we have three conversations going.
Whoa.
We have lots of
Well, when
conversations.
mama comes around,
I do have
food,
chicken.
food or.
We have three conversations going.
Oh.
No Africanized
Because they had
bees.
one and we had one, and you just weren't in there.
Okay, where were we?
We
All
only run into George.
Wow, I think this is a good
right. And I
idea.
didn't want.
Yeah. So Eric, Chairman Pyre, what do you want, how do you wanna proceed with this? Should we keep talking about this one, or should we do like with the wetlands and have everybody go back and,
We don't have something existing now, so.
do you wanna keep working?
Homework.
Should have something written up.
I need
Way
people
more.
input that know more about bees than I do.
Well, yeah, and thoughts, you know, we could remove bees, we could remove,
Right, but I don't know anything about beekeeping, so I don't know.
Did I guess speaker?
I kinda like the whole flyway barrier myself. My brother has bees, keeps bees. I gotta tell you what, that hedge would have to be 20 feet high and they'd still fly over it.
So you have rebel bees.
Rebels.
They go, when they find the honey, they go.
Yeah. Plus they respond to vibrations.
Why is it that you have to slaughter the chickens in a garage?
cause it's,
Sanitary.
it's gruesome, you might have thought, and then some people would be, offended, and children might even be like horrified.
Well, keep in mind, the city where this is set for is.
Yeah.
The city of
You wouldn't be
Cleveland.
in front of children, like.
Don't drive by my
No, I
house. in the
think
fall.
that's important, I think that it's important that you not permit the slaughtering of animals out in the open. Yeah, I think that
think allowed
because
is why.
there are people who are really horrified by that. And,
But
Yeah, but
could this
It's a
not
weird
all,
tree.
could this not, I mean, I'll tell you what, I'm serious, don't come to my house in the fall.
right,
I would not do that inside.
no, not in my garage.
I would not. The smell is incredible, the mouse is
I
incredible.
still,
And you had a fire pot, but why couldn't this also not say only inside a garage or something not within the view of?
oh, okay.
In
That's
other words,
fine.
that
Yeah.
if you have an area on your property
Yeah,
that
it's a
you could
homework.
confine this to, let's
Right.
say a three-sided tarp.
Sure.
Where the back is facing,
Yeah,
40 acres of woods.
right.
I mean, I do it behind my garage, so if somebody wants to come see me, they're
Yeah.
gonna have to drive around the garage and know what else likes to be done. So you could do the same thing here, have this so that it's out of the line of sight of public.
Yeah.
Or neighbors of others.
Right.
You just don't want any like rock and roll type of biting the head off the chicken thing and.
Yeah, right,
Is that
no
what you're
Ozzy
talking about?
Osbourne.
Okay.
Does it attract other animals?
You better believe it.
I'm not-
I got up the next morning, I had to come here for a meeting, so I missed the slaughter. I got up the next morning, I thought, what are all those chickens doing lying down over there? It was about, 80 feet away, I walked over, all the heads are on form ties stuck in the ground. I said, that was pretty gruesome. So I got 75 chicken heads.
Oh, it's disgusting.
That'd be good. I was gonna say, that'd be good Halloween walk.
And then one of the grandsons brought one of the legs, because you pulled the tendons and he's still.
Oh, wow.
He brought it to school.
No.
I showed him, look at this, chased him with it, didn't think anything of it, and he brought it to school.
You know,
Well, there's things that are funny about slaughtering animals.
Yes.
No, well.
At least they're not fearful. Much better that way.
So, Chairman, is that the plan to have everyone sort of look through both of these and come
Yeah.
prepared next time to, okay. We should, we should move on from these, so maybe my thought would be next time we could really be sure to work through them a little bit, now that they've been presented once again.
Depends on what we have on the agenda for the next time.
It's two, what do you call it?
Compliance.
Compliance hearings, yeah. So, the Tilton School was already planned, and, the juice bar there, they really need to get in so they can get going. Should I move on to the next?
Yeah, let's move on to the next one.
It's not as fun.
No, the next one, well, the next one
Probably about tickets.
is to review the dwelling unit density per lot.
Yeah, well, no,
No, this is driving.
it's something, it's more of a homework assignment. The topic of dwelling unit density is something that has been somewhat haunting us the last few weeks. And there's tremendous amount of inconsistency throughout zoning ordinance and the site plan review and subdivision about definitions of dwelling units, definitions of seasonal dwelling units. There's the 650 square foot factor that shows up in certain places but doesn't show up elsewhere. There's the chart of dimensional values where the last column indicates number of dwelling units allowed per lot. But again, when you go, so it says in the resort commercial, there's only one dwelling unit per lot. But then if you look at Tilton's seasonal resort section of the zoning ordinance, it was the intent of that section was to basically allow for more than one dwelling unit per lot on a seasonal basis. So it's very inconsistent. We really need to clean that up.
What page is that on?
It's all throughout. It's all throughout.
Subdivision.
You've got I can highlight some of the areas. Definition sections of all three. The seasonal, you should really look at the seasonal resort community regulations, section 3.4 of the zoning ordinance. And then the table of dimensional values. And again, in those different places, you'll start to see the contradictions. You can also maybe throw in cluster, the cluster subdivision, but maybe that's something we don't want to quite, I don't want to detract from.
When was the dwelling
meat,
density changed, do you know?
There's a note you'll
Yeah, it
see
says,
on the chart of permitted uses that actually has a zoning article, number 5, tied 203 to 203 and passed 206 to 203 at a recount held March 23rd, 2006. This changed the maximum residential density in the village. So I don't know if they all changed in that 1 year. I looked into this a little in the past. I have a stack of zoning ordinances that kind of used to figure out when the change might have occurred, but there's one documented change.
It was changed in 2006, they had a recount, okay.
But this is, I would put this high on the list of things that need to be fixed.
we start? Just go through, start at the beginning of this book, and like, what would you suggest?
I'd say, but for researching the dwelling unit density,
Okay.
is that what you're asking me?
Yeah, like, you just gave us a whole pile of things, so how do we start? Should we
I
just
just
start at
wrote
the
3
beginning?
things.
I don't know. I
Should
mean,
we go-
pile
I
of
think
things,
that all
so-
your definitions,
Start.
get all your definitions of the site plan, subdivision, zoning, and then there's another place for seasonal that has definitions.
To work on the definitions
So
first.
get all those definitions together,
All right, let's.
Wait, I
and
mean,
then look at what's allowed for density,
so,
And then the table.
because you're gonna find that all your definitions are the same.
Let's go.
What it says in the zoning for dwelling unit is not the same as it says in subdivision for dwelling. And then in the zoning, the
Mhm.
seasonal contradicts the dwelling.
All right, yeah.
so yeah, and when you go through definition, you'll see all sorts of different definitions that touch on dwelling units. Like, so, yeah, I would focus again, looking for instances in the definitions where dwelling units come up, looking at the seasonal resort community regulations, and looking at the chart, the table of dimensional values, that last column. And that would be the 3 that come to mind, the areas that come to mind to me right now. But I do feel like, you probably should look through all the regulations and see if there are other spots where it comes up that I may have missed.
Well, I was just wondering, if we're gonna maybe start with definitions, should we go through all of our
No.
definitions?
I
No, start
definitely
with
do not think
dwelling.
so. We will get so bogged, we'll never get anywhere.
No? Oh.
We need to take it by topic. I firmly believe that. I think if we start starting with A in the definitions of the zoning ordinance, we won't get anywhere. Because I think if we don't focus on topics,
Yeah.
it could just, if we don't take it by topic area, it could also lead to us creating more inconsistencies or contradictions, because instead of dealing with by topic across all the documents, we're dealing at one document at a time. Again, that doesn't protect against the,
True.
See, what happened is I came as health officer to the planning board, so we gotta get rid of the 650 square feet, because I couldn't enforce it as health officer. It didn't, I mean, I'm finding places that are, 660 square feet that I wouldn't let my dog live in. So it really, as health officer, it didn't matter how many square feet, it mattered what it had, sewage, if it had, all the life safety codes it needs, all those compliances. So it didn't matter how big.
True.
I mean,
Yep.
I could make a bathroom compliant.
Yeah, and then,
So,
yeah, let's.
so I brought them
let's
a
get rid of that.
draft of proposed definitions. And the planning board adopted my draft. They didn't take it, which was my suggestion, and fit it into the zoning. They just adopted the draft, changed the definitions and zonings, and forgot about subdivision, site plan, and all the other language in this document that pertains to it.
All right, okay, I see.
So I never did that again. Ever.
Yeah. Yep.
And I will admit to kind of walking away going, they just adopted the
Yeah,
draft.
it's
These
a
are
mess.
ramifications of that, and here we are. So you can throw your apples at me.
I mean,
But that's why
Yes,
Daria's
I see.
suggestion about reading through it is a great idea, because instead of making it work with the whole unit, they just put sprinkles on top and, oops.
it's very haphazard, yeah.
yeah.
And I wouldn't be afraid of looking at the dwelling definitions and seeing how there might be better language. Clarity is key.
And then another substantive question is, does the planning board want to distinguish between, or how does the planning board want to distinguish between seasonal and year-round? And should there be more should there be some allowance for seasonal units, like, so that you'd say, oh, if you're doing year round, you can only have one per lot. But on top of that, you can add seasonal units to that lot. Is that what, that seems in my mind to be what the seasonal resort community regulations are trying to accomplish.
And let's not forget transient lodging.
Right, that too, yeah, yeah, yeah. All these things, whether, does the board wanna just say a dwelling unit's a dwelling unit, we don't care if you're there 1 day a year or 365 days a year, or that would be extreme, I guess, or is there somewhere
But the
online?
difficulty is we say it's a seasonal, then people go in year round and we've got no way to say, no, this
Right.
is supposed to be a season.
Yep,
Right.
it's,
Yeah.
it's,
So it's an enforcement concern then.
absolutely.
Run into that problem.
Mhm.
We even tried passing it off to the Department of Revenue Administration, who enforces room and meals tax.
Right.
So, because if you're year round, you don't pay room and meals tax, it's only if it's transient, season. They didn't bite.
Yeah,
They just
I
threw
heard
it
about
back.
once a month.
Yeah, exactly. They threw it back at us and said, you're gonna figure it out, we're not doing it for you. Because they had a hard enough time proving, what they would do is send agents and their agents to really spy on them like they do at the fairs. They'll send agents to the fairs and watch the concessions, see how much cash they roll in because they're supposed to report all that cash.
Yeah.
It's like spying.
It is fine.
It is.
Like,
Except they're not in
Is that
Casino.
under obnoxious use?
So, anyway.
All right, so that's gonna be a big
It's a
job.
lot,
That's a big job. That's a big job. Yeah, just a dwelling, just like
Okay,
starting with
forward.
Yeah. Easy smeezy.
yeah,
This one?
Oh, wait, what was that?
Oh, we have another one?
driveway.
No, that's not on our next on our list. We're gonna go to the review of September 22nd minutes. I have my marching orders, I'm gonna follow them.
Oh.
Still there.
I did.
Move that to other business, because it's not zoning, it's
There it
something.
is.
I have, no, I think I put them in there. I have had them several times.
Hmm.
Which one's 22nd?
Yes.
22nd.
Knock it off.
Actually, yeah, quite a few mistakes on this
Yeah,
one.
I thought it was kind of
Oh, there is?
interesting. Oh, yeah.
Um,
Once you start listening, so we're not.
well, I'll start with the first one, then I'll let Ms. Grace take over.
Oh, come on now.
On the second page, several of you noticed that the second paragraph kind of just stops.
Just went away.
So it says, Mr. Hodge said that. So my proposed correction would be, Mr. Hodge said that movement through the site would be restricted by boulders or some other means.
Really?
Mhm.
Well, it's not exciting.
You wanna go next?
Next.
Yeah,
All right.
page 4.
Okay,
Line 3 goes and against,
yeah, so the and should go,
right?
right?
Then line 15, consistency one another.
With one another should
Yeah.
be, yeah.
Okay, that's all I got.
All right, and then page 3. That's comma in the wrong place, I thought. So
Oh,
the
I
last
didn't get that.
sentence says, Ms. Laflamme said that the proposed location would block the view of the Fluffies. I guess, no, that comma should be there, I see why I did it. It's like so that comma stays. And that if the Fluffies property decided to erect signs.
No, the comma should go.
Yeah, never mind.
You thought you were listing an address.
Yeah, never mind.
Good.
So Elaine caught everything. Oh, no.
I had a clarification question.
Can I okay, yes, sir.
Just on that same case 1518,
Yeah,
it said, Mr. Rugia
Yeah.
presented a deed. Should we reference what that deed is, or?
I don't think it's necessary, but,
It is public record, the deed.
mm,
HamshirDeeds.com.
Yeah, but there's lots of deeds, and I didn't know.
Well,
But she didn't present a specific deed, she only said there is a deed restriction.
I mean,
She didn't say
he did, though.
deed such and such, such and such.
He brought an actual deed, but I think, you know, you have elsewhere where, Ms. Dawson identified the deed restriction as a civil matter, so it's really, you know, I feel like even, we're just entertaining their conversation about it.
You're gonna put a comma after road,
Where's that?
545 Laconia Road, are we still talking about the comma?
Oh. No, because it's a weird, it's an adjective. It's like
Well, I
a
was reading.
545 Laconia Road property.
Only because you want Fluffy's property in the next sentence.
You have
Pardon. So I
Fluffy's.
was reading it, location would block the view of the Fluffy's, comma, 545 road property. And then if Fluffy's property decides something, that's up to you. Nobody else will know.
Yeah. One other thing, sorry, before if on page 3, the last paragraph before it says moved by Ms. Harvey to approve PB case 1520, the last sentence of that paragraph said, she said that she had shared that information with DOT and that she would add that information and then cross out be added. So she would add that information to the plan when submitted for a driveway permit. And that's it. That's all.
I just have one, I keep bringing these things up, but, it said, Ms. Harvey expressed that the existing green space would provide considerable treatment
What
and.
page? Yeah.
Oh, this is page 3 at the top. And I don't even know if it's worth bringing up, but, I believe I said it had mitigating effects.
Okay,
I hate to
so,
split hairs, but,
Well, then we have time on
Then-
that.
considerable treatment, no.
okay,
probably not.
so Ms. Harvey expressed that the existing green space would provide mitigation,
Mitigating effects,
okay?
I don't know, it's, I mean, who reads these?
Oh, you'd be surprised.
All right.
Not that it probably won't matter at all, I mean.
Don't worry, if that's not the way you want to change, as long as it's, I'll have to go back and listen to the tape to make sure you're telling the truth, if that's really what you said. As long as that's-
Go, Dory.
I'll lose some sleep over that time.
I was alone on that.
Okay, so, so is that it?
On page 4, I made a comment to you about, at the top, her last statement before it is moved was very, very negative. And I kind of hated to end it with that. Not that it has to be changed, but it's like she got the last word, and it was not a very good word. Ms. LaFlamme said that the proposal goes.
And again?
Yeah, that goes to the and
And
across
needs to go out again, goes against the stated purposes of setbacks as provided in the zoning ordinance, and said that if it unfairly limits opportunities in the Fluffy's property.
In my opinion, it was the last substantive comment made prior to the motion. So if I were to add language after that, it would be simply for the purposes of,
Okay.
yeah, and I don't,
So she, there's nothing to say to counter it, but that's a pretty negative statement.
yeah.
I just see this one coming back maybe. And she was,
Yeah,
I see
I mean-
this possibility of this coming back and biting us.
The big,
But that's a little part of it, so. I mean, the fact
Yeah.
is, she had a variance and
goes against.
to the setback, so.
As provided by the zoning
By harder on the zoning board.
So, I guess, Chairman, are we ready to
You wanna accept it?
close the motion?
I Propose to accept the minutes of September 22nd.
That's correct. That's correct.
As corrected.
Second.
All those in favor?
Okay,
Aye.
now I know who it is.
Opposed? Okay.
Abstain.
I kept it, I kept it.
I watched it.
Who seconded that?
Christine.
Yeah, same.
Oh, correspondence, sorry.
Christina.
Which one?
Ah, checking that.
This, this,
It's a retirement.
Forest Laws for Municipal Officials workshop. I went to it last year. Looks like the same program as last year, so I won't be going again, but it was very informative. And, since I haven't had a chance to share this with the chairman, I'll just not force him to read and talk at the same time. This is from Belknap Landscaping. It's a soil test that the planning board required of the snow dump over by Tanger, across from Lockmere Golf Course.
What were the results?
Did you look at that?
I haven't had a chance to really look at it. I looked at the cover letter and it said it's in compliance. And it's
Yeah, I didn't have a chance to look at it either.
I said,
but
well, I know Catherine will look at it.
I'll look at it Thursday, Friday.
Yeah. He wants me to call
I'll
him.
be in Concord Thursday, I'll be in Plymouth tomorrow.
Reviewed by Catherine.
That's okay.
I still got the selectmen to allow me to take a water test as well,
Oh,
which I'll do.
So who's been to
A
Taco
lot of
Bell?
numbers. in this.
Oh.
It's open.
What's that?
First day, didn't you?
I went there the first day. I went there today, actually.
I've been there
Several times.
You too.
Any kids, right?
We went yesterday.
I've been there maybe a couple times.
I
I like the mango iced tea.
I've never been to
I love
one.
mango.
Oh, they had one in California, I read it all the time.
All right, on our other business, first up, we have what is this, what would you call this, a draft?
Memo.
The draft memo regarding, it's from the planning board, it's to the board of selectmen, it's a request from Stephen and Christine
Oh,
Dembitsky
Oh, troublemakers.
yes.
to construct at least one
Yeah,
residence.
you might as well.
To
And then
construct at
moving
least
over
one
to
residence
here.
on a proposed private road originating from 246 Taylor.
You don't like to get the clown's hat on.
So, just, sorry, Eric, I'll have the record reflect that, Ms. Dembitsky, stepped away, recused herself from this portion of the discussion. Sorry.
So what this is it's basically a memo to the board of selectmen to support, right? Is that the right word, support? I'll let Dory.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry. Well, no, he wrote it, he's.
Yeah, I mean, Eric's admirably stepped in at the last minute here, so, yeah, the, New Hampshire RSA 674-41 sets forth provisions for allowing the construction of a residence on a Class 6 or private road. And part of that, a portion of those provisions indicate that the planning board should provide review and comment to the select board. So if somebody wants to build a residence on a Class 6 or private road, they need to get select board permission. The select board has to authorize the issuance of a building permit. Prior to the select board, or as part of the select board's deliberation, they should consider the planning board's review and comment. So we've met now twice with the Dembitskys, once on February 24th, once on March 24th. And this memo, my takeaway from those meetings was that the planning board was substantively in approval of this. And there were some details discussed, and this memo seeks to capture that. This memo would essentially, as Eric mentioned, be from you, the board, to the select board. So it's obviously necessary that you guys indicate that you agree with what this says.
Sorry, Chris.
I thought somebody would do it, I thought it would be her.
It would be, right?
So what's, I thought you weren't gonna, so you have to have a sprinkler system? I thought
We
you were
have
trying to
it,
avoid
we
that.
have it now, and our neighbor has it, because the fire hydrant is so far away, they have to do pump trucks if we don't. So we have
So-
two gigantic containers of water in the basement, and it's all hooked up to sprinklers. The fire chief gave his training on his little trainee on my pump system.
Okay, so the new home obviously
Yes.
also will have that.
Yeah,
But, okay.
yeah, it's not required there, but it's, because we don't have a fire hydrant. Nice.
Did you ever find out why you need internal, so that's the turnaround for the
Yeah,
fire
it can't
apparatus?
be cul-de-sac, it can't be round, it can't be,
It can't be
just can
round.
meet back up to the other road.
It has to be a loop because just
Yeah.
being round is not big enough.
No, because
The
then if
radius.
it's, yeah, if it's round, then you have to pave it and do the
Dead-end
middle
street.
shrubbery and all of that.
And also then it would be a dead-end street.
Yeah, a dead end street, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was.
The forest
No
would
dead
be
end
in the middle
streets.
of it, yeah.
Why, okay.
So we have like a 100-foot area in the middle of it.
Lots of forest right now.
So you just drive up to the woods and come back around and
Yeah.
then, hey, look at that, we're back where we started.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's not 2,000 feet.
And it's going to be.
There's already, you know, there's trails and roads there from when logging was already done, so.
And it's not gonna, it doesn't have to be paved.
Well, I have to request, Rita had to request a waiver.
Might make sense just to read this front page.
It's not as fun.
Well, but I mean,
It's drafted.
I
It
think
states it in there, that's why, about the,
it would,
Yeah.
I would have to say it would be a much more, I would think it would be more constructive use of your time to maybe just, again, read through
Okay.
this and see if you agree with it. That'd be my suggestion.
Basically, it just
I'm still gonna
says
ask
everything
for
we
it.
discussed
yeah,
Yeah.
at the meeting.
The intent, yeah.
When you give a copy of this to Joyce, you'll give her a copy of that release of liability letter?
The one that you
Yeah,
gave
we're
to me,
working
yeah,
on
yeah,
it.
I
So
actually
that they
talked.
can create one?
I talked to Joyce about it today. The Matthew Drive has some more recently issued ones.
Okay.
But I don't think they're better. The town of Belmont has a more thorough one that I might.
Nice.
Okay, yeah.
and he sent me a copy of it.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm definitely familiar with recording at the registry. And even when we subdivide, the last memo, I think was a copy of mine, is that we're gonna keep the private way, because I don't wanna be worrying about this person plowing so I can get out, so it'll be like, this will be our property like that, so we're gonna keep that whole thing from them. They'll have an easement. I mean, it's nice now because we only have one neighbor, and he contributes, so.
Is it 1,000 feet to where this loop starts, or is that including the loop?
It can't be more than 2,000 feet.
Per
And then our
table.
driveway will come off of that. Is that what's next to that?
That was
Oh,
Tim
that was the
Joubert,
Tim,
yeah.
Yeah. He was like, when he came out, he was like, if all of them were kept, because we maintain it now, because we're not at the front, and he said if they were all like this, you know, Cause he said he just did a fire in Northfield, and you don't know what houses were down there. And that's the reason why he asked for us to
Signage on
put the, yeah,
Right.
which makes sense.
Do we just need discussion on this? Do we need a
Um,
motion to put it to the selectmen?
I guess, that would, you could do a motion, if you feel comfortable, like you've had, there is quite a stack of paper here, but really everything's just, documentation other than the first page. So if you feel comfortable, making a motion to, authorize this to stand as the planning board's review and comment, then I could, essentially start the process of getting this off to the select board. I guess another option, if you feel you wanna work through it longer, would be to, make such a motion at a future meeting.
What will you be naming the road?
Oh, it could be Christine's Way.
I like that.
Christine's Way or the Highway?
I like that.
Put that one on.
Did you put that on?
Yeah, you can, I've seen phrases.
It's more expensive.
Gets formed.
$20,000.
No, it's too late.
That ship sailed a half hour.
Thinking of,
I'm comfortable, but I'm done.
There's only one way to find out, right? Make a motion and see how
Are
it
you on
flies.
this, or you want something?
I'm good.
Really? Really?
Yes.
Holy
Keeping it
moly.
going.
She's
Don't
just
forget,
a
I love
select-
it.
so it's like-
So-
So I make a motion that the planning board allows this to be our comment on this subdivision to the select board, so that the select board may continue on with this process.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Trying to decide if I should choose myself.
I know.
Too late.
I
Yeah.
can't figure out how you fit in on this whole thing exactly. I mean,
I have to go to her board.
yeah, right. But this is why a select board member is on the planning board, like, it's a good question. like.
But I think it's a good plan.
Yeah, right, and the fact you're on the planning board, the state, obviously, in setting forth provisions for a, what do you call it? Selectman representative, what do you call it?
Ex
Ex
officio
officio, yeah.
member.
Meant for this, intended for this, there to be
It
this
is.
kind of, yeah, so it's
Exactly
an
right.
interesting
Even if she said
one.
no, it's 4-2, so.
Right, yeah.
The other thing that should go with this,
I knew that was too easy.
yeah. I don't know what Belmont's
Oh, the release of
was,
liability.
but in our own subdivision, it requires the selectmen or planning board, which I always disagreed with this, because only the selectmen can take a road and make it town.
Oh,
But on page 43, it says the following private road design is in accordance with the current town of Tilton subdivision regulation and does not meet the design requirements of a local street, therefore the owner requests a private road waiver approved by the town line. So basically, it just says, will not consider accepting a private road as a local street in the future. You know, unless it's designed to town specs. So,
So in other
I
words,
mean-
if she wanted in the future for the town to come and plow that road, she would have to make she would have to make it, she would have to make it.
it would have to be built, in other words, they're acknowledging that it's not built, they're being allowed to build on it, put a home on it, but it's not built according to our subdivision regulations, town specifications. So therefore, at this time, the selectmen would not consider taking it as a town road until it is built to those specs, even though we allowed you to build on it.
How do you
Well, I don't
like
want the
that?
town to have it, I wanna keep it.
There you go, good girl.
So there was a motion and we voted.
it passed.
All right,
Last,
The driveway.
the last one was the driveways. This one would require a public hearing at the next meeting.
right, so the last one pager here is, so the selectmen have decided, have indicated that they want the planning board to take over driveway permitting. I fully agree. I think
Why?
that, why?
Yes, what are you gonna do?
Well, because I think that it's gotten away from the planning board to the point where the planning board has no contact with it.
Yeah, we don't even know some
It
of the
it needs to be
time.
brought back in.
Currently done by the road agent. correct?
It is, and that eventually, that could happen again.
But it would
For
be the
now-
planning board to decide that, not the selectmen, which is how it got to the public works director in the first place.
And why was it put there?
Because nobody knew the law said, it's the planning board, well, the planning board's designate, the selectmen are just bullies, they do what they want.
No kidding.
And I told you.
I know a few of those people, and they're bullies.
So, and there's, what I'd like to do is create a driveway application and approval process that closely mimics the state's process, because that's how I feel it should be. If 400 feet is safe on a, if less than 400 feet isn't safe on a state road, why is it safe on a town road, or, that's just an example. I
Right.
don't,
I'm gonna speak to that.
yeah, right, there are reasons why, right?
Shock.
But,
This is shock.
But, stormwater management, traffic safety, overall traffic management, these are all things that, the planning board is uniquely concerned with and uniquely, focused on. So, the driveway has, can have significant impact on land use, and therefore, I believe the planning board should get a stronger hold on it.
But if we mimic the state, why don't we just accept the state's?
State won't issue, the town, on a town road, the town has to issue the driveway permit. So we couldn't say, oh, just apply to the state, they'll say.
Oh, so this is
sorry.
all driveways? 'Cause this is.
So if I wanna
permits from
repave
state.
my driveway or add another driveway on my street, it's not a state road, I would have to come and see Dari and
Okay.
say, and he's gonna say, well, wait a minute, you're 20 feet from an intersection, maybe we don't want to do the road.
Right.
Am I understanding that correctly?
Absolutely, yeah. Like, Christine, the driveway permit that you guys recently received for adding that third house.
Yeah,
If
it
you-
says state.
Came from the state.
Because you're on a state road. So if you
Yeah.
lived on a town road, you would have well, but what I'm saying is I want it to be that because you're on a town road, you're submitting a similar application and you're undergoing
Ah.
a similar review process with the town, not what sometimes happens is the town's process is abbreviated to the point where it's not properly addressing a lot of the impacts that a driveway can have. And, safety, environmental concerns,
Culverts.
yeah, exactly, culverts
Ditch.
are sort of, you just throw a 15
We have
inch in
culverts?
there.
No, I have lots of culverts.
Makes sense.
So, what I'm hoping I can get you guys to do tonight is agree that you like the looks of this. This is how the planning board wants this to go forward, so that I can, immediately call the newspaper tomorrow and properly notice a public hearing for a change to the for making this change to the subdivision. Once this change is made, I think the emergency is over of getting this in the hands of the planning board, then we can move on to,
Are you going
developing.
to entertain a blanket motion to remove road agent from all of the locations in the subdivision? Because there are others besides this one.
no, that's not what I was planning. What though? I mean, it no, what I was thinking is simply specific to this, and then I
Yeah.
thought that would at least get us to where,
Page 39, number 10, the Tilton road agent shall grant final driveway acceptance in writing.
oh, that's.
Page 49, H. Road agent or the town's agent, prior to construction, shall approve the location, length, size, bedding, and backfill of all driveway culverts.
Which one is it?
49H.
Well, wouldn't you want the road agency to go check that type of stuff?
Well,
Yeah, I thought that would be.
good question.
Driveway culverts. No.
I mean, is Dari
But you
qualified
could have
to,
language in your application. You could, the language would have to be different, I think. It says or the town agent, so it could say the planning board or their agent.
Right,
So,
right.
in that instance, if somebody came to the subdivision and we're gonna take one of the roads in the subdivision as a town road, then every single one of those driveways and culverts has to be the town spec. The planning board could designate the public works director at that time to be their agent to make sure that they're backfilled.
Yeah, I.
Or somebody else in public works who may have more experience than the public works director, because some of them have, the public work director is not necessarily the most road design savvy person there, it could be one of the others. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, we should
So
keep
if
it
it says
broad,
or the
yeah.
planning board's designee.
Right, so let's keep it general because you never know who's available.
So it should take out road agent, or the town's agent,
Um,
it should say the planning board or the designee, I think.
Throughout.
You're right. The language, yeah, I said planning board or its designated agent. If we were to say, if you were to say tonight, that what you want. No, we gotta do this specific, we really need to do this.
So you could say something like a motion to have the language in the subdivision, or have in the subdivision regulations, remove any languages that references the public works director, road agent,
Yeah.
et cetera.
Yeah.
as it pertains to driveway or driveway construction, and change it to, planning board or its designated agent.
Yeah.
Does that work?
I think that's specific enough to
So-
where I can, when I, because I need to meet, like I said, tomorrow, pull this together, and I need to know that I'm not doing this on my own. I need to know that I'm absolutely carrying out the planning board's wishes to the letter, and I think what you just said does cover that.
That way, if we happen to miss one, you can go right back and change it. 'Cause
Right.
the public hearing
Yeah.
says
Yeah.
any in there.
Here's one.
We don't have to have another public hearing.
Yeah. Well,
She already said yes.
we have to have the public hearing on the 27th.
Right, but we
Yeah,
wouldn't
right.
have to have another
Right.
one if we found that we
Exactly.
missed one.
Yeah, you're right.
Right, so
I second it.
Yes, yeah.
All, any other discussion?
My only question is, unrelated, but does the road agent know?
Yeah, he does.
yes, he knows.
Is he
Plus,
happy? No, he's happy.
He
Oh,
completely
he's happy.
understands
Okay.
why too.
All right, that one.
It's a planning tool.
That's it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. And with that, I wish I had another list. Any other business to come before the board?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second it.
No discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Leave.
All right. I guess we are adjourned. Till next meeting.
That was a lot of business.
thank you, Eric, that was short notice.
Nice job.
Good job.
Yeah.
He
Good
wants
job.
to be
Thank you.
chairman anyway, right? Yeah, he
He was last time.
Guys, I do have to run out of here. One of my chickens didn't make it into the coop thanks to my negligent children.
Oh,
They gotta go walking around the neighborhood with a flashlight.
on a leash.
I told my son like 3 or 4 times, I say, around 6 o'clock, you gotta start going outside and keep rounding them up, getting them in the pen. My daughter called me at that, I don't know if you guys noticed at one point I had to step up.
Yes.